This is Juilliard Park. This is the bench of Monty Montague on the bench. This is Monty Montague, also on the bench, live, real, in person. This is the guy who started bocce in Santa Rosa. How many years?
27 years ago.
27 years ago.
Actually, we started on the far side of the park, overneath the redwood trees, and we just pulled all the leaves apart, and we started to play. There was a young man and a young lady. They were school teachers. They were married. I can't think of their name, but I'll maybe remember. And they, some way or another, I heard about it, and so I looked them up, and I says, "You're playing bocce ball?" And I says, "How about pétanque?" And they said, "Yeah." And so he said, "Next Sunday," we came there, and we came with our rake, and we raked a nice little spot there, about 15 feet wide and about 20 or 30 feet long, and we started playing. They used to have some of the transit people passing through town. They would sleep under the trees and so forth and so on. So Park and Recreation then trimmed the trees, all the low branches, so that they couldn't quite be so seclusive under the trees. They would be more readily seen. The police department then started to come through, and they were living in the cars here, where all these cars, they were actually living in the cars, and they would come here and they would make a little fire, cook their little hot dog or whatever they had, drink their wine, have a little party, and we started that, and then pretty soon the husband and wife, the school teacher, Ruth and I, and we had been playing a couple of times when we've been in Europe. We went over to France, went over to England, went down the Mediterranean, and kind of got interested into it. Even went up into Switzerland and went up to Lake Louise. And the more I got around these people, and the good Italian people, and the good French people, we played pétanque underneath the Eiffel Tower. We didn't really know what we were doing, but we were just watching. And by observation and talking to a few people, and some of them would tell you a little secret here and a little secret there, we thought, well, we're pretty smart. So next thing you know, there was a few more people like Bruce here, Joe McGovern, I can think right offhand, and then we had
the rest of these guys on the bench.
Oh, goodness sakes. Big Joe.
That's Big Joe.
Oh, Big Joe. He was from Lithuania, I think. And oh boy, he had this accent. When he talked, it sounded like the whirlwind was blowing. He had a big, heavy voice, and he was a big, see, there's Joe and there's Big Joe. Yeah. I mean, he was big, and he would say, no, and he'd start talking to you in the language.
Yes, he was, he told me he was a Serbian general.
Serbia, yeah.
That's right. We're not quite sure what side of the war he was on.
He was oh gosh, we went to his hometown once, Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia, someplace in there.
Yeah.
And then who else is on the bench here?
And then we had.
I think this is Mario, isn't it?
Oh, Mario. Oh, yeah.
Mario?
That's Mario from up at Hill. Oh.
Maybe we'd be quiet a second here. Let the playing go by.
Even before I started to play here, I was playing up in Healdsburg. I would go up and play 2 and 3 times a week. I was playing up in Healdsburg, and they had a pretty good team going up there. We'd play for money up there, and we would play for a nickel a game. And when we get reckless, we'd say double or nothing. You know what double or nothing means? Instead of 1 nickel, it's 2 nickels. So the loser had to pay the winner 2 nickels. And then things got tough, and we were down to pennies for a while, then we got up to dimes for a while. But anyway, I learned an awful lot from Mario. He was one of the best of the bunch that could talk, and he was quiet, and he would sit And after everybody would kind of go, he would talk to me a little bit. And I was doing a victory garden here in Santa Rosa, and he had a victory garden up there in Healdsburg. So I would bring some carrots and he would bring some lettuce, and we would trade our wears and tears. And next thing I know, he says, "Come on, Monty, come to the house." And when you get invited into the house, why, that's a privilege. And we went over to Pittsburgh a couple of times. The Druids had some bocce ball games, and we went over to Pittsburgh, went to Stockton, and went up to Sacramento and played pétanque. We played the U.S. title there, and man, we brought people in from, there must have been, and I'm not exaggerating, there was over 100 people playing. And what we did, we went out into the walnut groves, and we would play between the rows of walnut trees. Mm-hmm. Just on a plowed field, nothing smooth. And it was great. So my father's name was Montague, and my mother's name was St. Martin. So the Montague can be French or English. My dad said he wanted to be French. He had a genealogy done. They said he was the king and this, and he says, "That's not the Montague family that I came from." But my mother, St. Martin, that lineage came from France up into Canada, came down the Mississippi River into where the Twin Cities are, Minneapolis and St. Paul, and they homesteaded all that land where the two cities were built. My mother passed away. There was still some of the land was in litigation, and I'm the last of 5 kids, and my mother passed away, so we inherited my mother's share, what we got between us 5 kids, and we didn't know quite what to do with it, so we went to my dad and we said, "Pop, you got a new car coming." So we threw it together with my mother's bequest to us. It's the only new car he ever had in his life. He was a proud guy. So we do have a little bit of history. My child bride, Ruth, sitting over here. 72 years with that girl. Just today, I think I got a little sentimental, and I said, "You know, I'm glad you came with me today."